General, is Russia our friend?
Sir, they're not.
Between Ukraine and Russia, who do we want to win that war?
Well, we prefer there not be a war, but
Well,
obviously,
but there is. Who do we want to win?
obviously we want Ukraine to stand independently and not be consumed by Russia.
Okay. Now, when Putin went into Ukraine, he thought he was going to roll in and take it over in 2 days like thunder on a summer night, didn't he?
I believe he did.
But the Ukrainian people have fought back, haven't they?
Yes, sir. They have fought back.
And they now have some of the most sophisticated drone technology in the history of the world, don't they?
Sir, they do. They're doing very well with drones.
And they're giving, with the limited resources they have, they're giving Russia a curb stomping, aren't they?
Wilson here, and welcome back to America Wake. You just watched Senator John Kennedy walk into that hearing and completely change the tone of the room. No long political speeches, no rehearsed talking points, just direct questions and straight pressure. And honestly, whether you agree with everything Senator Kennedy said or not, you can't deny one thing. Senator Kennedy came prepared and focused. While others were speaking carefully, Senator Kennedy was pushing for urgency on national defense, Ukraine, China, and Taiwan. What stood out to me most was how Senator Kennedy refused to accept vague answers. Russia invaded Ukraine. China is watching Taiwan closely. America's enemies are paying attention to whether the United States looks strong or weak. Senator Kennedy wanted clear answers, not political word games. A lot of Americans are tired of politicians avoiding simple questions, and that's probably why this moment is getting so much attention online. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe to America Wake, hit the like button, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now let's break this down.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Kennedy.
Forgive me, Mr. Chairman, for interrupting. And I say this with respect for you and in these three gentlemen. But as you know, we've got a very important meeting at 11 o'clock. We're going to have to leave. I would respectfully ask if we could limit the opening remarks so we could get to ask a few questions.
Senator Kennedy, Senator Coons has been perfectly all right with taking two on our side first, and then they get two. So we'll be able to get to both of you.
I know, but my point is we're going to start at 11 o'clock. I've got to be there, and these gentlemen have some wonderful prepared statements, but I can read faster than they can talk. And I was hoping if they could give us the Cliff's Notes version, we might have enough time to ask a question.
Or go ahead and ask the question.
Do you mind?
No.
You mind, gentlemen?
Sir, not at all.
All right. I'll try to be brief. Mr. Secretary, thank you for being here. We need more ships. We're going to give you money to build more ships. You need to get those ships built. You need to build as many of them as you can in Louisiana, but let's get them built. General, is Russia our friend?
Sir, they're not.
Between Ukraine and Russia, who do we want to win that war?
Well, we prefer there not be a war, but obviously,
Well, but there is. Who do we want to win?
obviously we want Ukraine to stand independently and not be consumed by Russia.
Okay. Now, when Putin went into Ukraine, he thought he was going to roll in and take it over in 2 days like thunder on a summer night, didn't he?
I believe he did.
But the Ukrainian people have fought back, haven't they?
Yes, sir. They have fought back.
And they now have some of the most sophisticated drone technology in the history of the world, don't they?
Sir, they do. They're doing very well with drones.
And they're giving, with the limited resources they have, they're giving Russia a curb stomping, aren't they?
I would say they are.
In fact, they have knocked out, with their limited resources, 40% of Russia's export ability of their oil. They, since January, using their drones and limited cruise missiles, they have hit oil and gas facilities within Russia over 100 times. Not on the border, within Russia, right?
Yes, sir.
And Putin was so scared, he almost had to cancel their military parade. It didn't he?
Well, I'm not sure of that, sir, but I will take your word for that, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, how much money? Now, let me just lead you. The world has $300 billion of frozen Russian assets in escrow, don't we?
I don't know, sir.
I do. It's $300 billion. And 2/3 of that, about $225 billion, is sitting in Europe, isn't it?
Again, sir, I'm not sure of that.
Well, I am. And I'm surprised, no disrespect, that you don't know. And Europe has asked our permission to take that $200 to $225 billion. Well, I mean, strike that. That $225 billion, humor me, that's sitting there frozen. Not a single penny is American taxpayer money, is it?
I don't believe it is.
No. It all belongs to Russia, doesn't it?
I believe that is correct.
And the
sir.
EU has asked our permission to take that money and give it to Ukraine so they can knock Russia in the next week and let's get this war over. That's a good idea, don't you think?
Well, I think anything that can be done to stop that war is a good idea, sir.
Would you support giving that $225 billion, no taxpayer money in America, to Ukraine?
Again, sir, that's outside my purview as a service chief.
Okay. Admiral, let me ask you a question. Would it be fair to say, based on his public and notorious comments, both before, during, and after the summit between President Xi and President Trump, that President Xi, how can I put this? He's nervous as a pregnant nun about what we're going to do on Taiwan, isn't he?
Sir, I do think he is concerned about our capability against any invasion of Taiwan.
I mean, talk about telegraphing your insecurities. I mean, he talked about it right out of the chute. He's practically sending us a television ad saying, I'm very worried about Taiwan. Now, we don't want a war with China, do we?
Absolutely not.
No. We want stability, though, with China, don't we?
Yes, sir.
And China doesn't recognize, President Xi doesn't recognize charity, does he?
I can't speak to that, but I would say probably not.
Well, he appreciates strength, doesn't he?
I would say so, yes.
If you're in a bar fight with President Xi and you start quoting Socrates like we did under President Biden, you're going to get your rear end whipped, aren't you?
That's probably not a good course of action.
Yes. Okay, so why don't we go ahead? Don't you think it'd be a good idea for us to gain leverage to make weapons sales to Taiwan right now?
Sir, again, these things are very complex and a full calculus of all the levers of power that are being negotiated and worked. So generally...
I'm sorry, what more do we have to know, Admiral? President Xi has telegraphed his anxiety, his insecurity, now that he knows that America has learned how to fight. We want leverage. We want stability, not a hot war. We want leverage. What's his insecurity? Taiwan. Why don't we just go ahead and sell the weapons to Taiwan that Taiwan wants? The president can call President Xi and say, hey, President Xi, don't take it personally. Don't get excited. Don't get your bowels in an uproar. But I'm selling these weapons. Why wouldn't we do that?
We definitely want Taiwan to be as strong as they can be, sir.
They'd be stronger with those weapons, though, wouldn't they?
Yes, sir.
Don't you think we ought to sell them?
Sir, I'm not going to get in front of the administration's overall calculus on that. That's just not I'm not going to make a statement on that as a service chief.
Okay.
But the capabilities that we're talking about would make them more effective.
I'm sorry to go over. I'm sorry. I just wanted to get my points in. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I've got to go, gentlemen. I'm really sorry. And I don't mean any disrespect by being so direct. But we're down to it. We're down to it.
After watching the full exchange, I've got to say this. Senator John Kennedy understood exactly what needed to happen in that room. The first thing Senator Kennedy did was cut through the usual Washington routine. Senator Kennedy basically said, "We don't have time for long speeches. Let's get to the real issues." And honestly, that was refreshing. Most Americans don't want polished statements that say nothing. People want answers. When Senator Kennedy talked about shipbuilding, the message was simple. America needs more ships. Congress is ready to fund them, so get them built. That's direct leadership. Then came the Ukraine discussion, and this is where Senator Kennedy really pressed the witnesses. Senator Kennedy forced them to acknowledge that Ukraine has fought back much harder than Russia expected. The discussion about Ukraine's drone attacks on Russian oil and gas infrastructure showed how modern warfare has changed. Ukraine has been using limited resources to create serious damage inside Russia. Then Senator Kennedy brought up the frozen Russian assets. Senator Kennedy's point was straightforward. If hundreds of billions of Russian dollars are already frozen overseas, why should American taxpayers carry all the burden while that money just sits there? Whether people agree with that idea or not, it's still a fair question to ask. The officials kept responding carefully and saying certain decisions were outside their authority. That's understandable, but Senator Kennedy clearly wanted stronger and more direct answers. Then the conversation shifted to China and Taiwan, and honestly, this may have been the strongest part of the hearing. Senator Kennedy's argument was clear. Deterrence comes from strength. Senator Kennedy believes President Xi respects power, not weakness. History shows that authoritarian leaders often push harder when they think their opponents are hesitant. That's why Senator Kennedy pushed for faster weapons sales to Taiwan. The argument is simple. A stronger Taiwan makes conflict less likely because China knows the cost would be higher. Another reason this clip is spreading online is Senator Kennedy's communication style. Senator Kennedy speaks in plain language that regular people understand. The comparisons, the humor, and the direct tone make complicated issues easier to follow. Critics will say Senator Kennedy was too aggressive. Maybe. But compared to the careful and cautious answers from everyone else, Senator Kennedy sounded like somebody trying to create urgency. And honestly, that's what a lot of people feel America has been missing lately. At the end of the day, Senator Kennedy's message was about strength, clarity, and deterrence. Senator Kennedy believes America's enemies move when they sense weakness, and this hearing showed exactly why Senator Kennedy feels the United States needs to act with more confidence. Let me know what you think in the comments. Did Senator John Kennedy ask the right questions, or did Senator Kennedy go too far? If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like, subscribe, and share the video. This is Wilson with America Wake. See you in the next one.